On AM 1130 by 99.9 FM, Prescott, Chino Valley, and Paulden 95.5 FM, Prescott Valley and Cottonwood, the talk of the Quad Cities, KQNA. It's
Hammer Time.
Waking Up with the YCCA. Hammer Time is brought to you by Lawhorn Plumbing, Verde Valley Alarm Services, Permit Pushers, Prescott Home Safety, Greenlee Designer Services, Get Right Mitigation, Franklin Plumbing, The Blind Brothers, Caltex, Vicente Landscaping, Barrett Propane, and Badger Roofing. And now from the studios of KQNA, it's Hammer Time, Waking Up with the YCCA. Here's the Executive Director of the Yavapai County Contractors Association, Sandy Griffiths.
Welcome to Hammer Time. Wingman Mike, we're over May Day. We're over
Cinco de Mayo?
No, what was May 4th?
Sunday. I have no idea what
was May 4th, Engineer? Was some sort of taco day?
The
4th be with you.
And May the 4th is Star Wars Day.
And then
Star Wars Day.
May
Okay.
5th, Cinco de Mayo. So
Right.
we're over our tacos and margaritas and enchiladas.
Well, I'm milking it. I'm celebrating the whole week of Cinco de Mayo.
So you're eating your way through the week.
No, I'm just having a margarita after work.
One?
Moving right along.
Every day? Holy moly, Batman. So we're moving through May at lightning speed. The weather at the beginning of the week was kind of weird, wasn't
Yeah,
it? That
kinda.
rain shower?
But last weekend, having some rain, that was very nice, actually. Kind of cleared the air, and certainly the plants in the forest can certainly use it.
It did. So all is good. We had a lovely show last weekend with Scott Freitag and Jason Steele with JSO Contracting.
Good to see Scott again.
Those guys are geniuses.
Yep. Stay tuned because you'll hear a lot from them.
Yes. I mean, they're they're like a power team, a powerhouse.
But it's kind of interesting watching them feed each other back and forth. They're a good team.
Terribly
Good
good.
team.
Terribly good. So all is well in my universe. What about your universe?
It is. It's doing well.
What's new? Don't tell me you're busy.
No, actually, what's new?
You're not busy?
No, I'm keeping myself
Okay,
busy,
good,
but
okay.
I'm also looking forward to spending a little lake time this weekend.
Are you going to miss any shows?
No, I will be back for next week.
All right.
Yep.
So is the boat ready, or the houseboat, or the pontoon, or
boat is ready. I went up last week and spent a day up there working, so we're ready to go.
So what do? You go up and polish it and remove all the cobwebs and put oil in the engine?
I just make sure there's a lot of margarita mix, being that it's May.
Wait, you said the week, and now we've got margaritas for the whole dang month.
Well, it sounded so good, I thought I'd just kind of expand it.
My wingman. Listeners, I don't know what I'm going to do with them. We have two super cool guests this morning, and we're going to talk construction.
Ooh.
I know.
Right up my alley.
Right up my alley. What can I say? I almost like it more than I like heavy yellow metal.
I don't know. It's kind of tough to get you off that track.
I know. So take us to break, and when we come back, we will introduce the world to Jake Swenson and Papa Bear Mark Swenson.
Perfect. Looking forward to it. You're listening to Hammer Time, brought to you by Yavapai County Contractors Association, and we're airing on Talk of the Quad Cities, KQNA 1130 AM, 99.9 FM, and in Cottonwood and PV, 95.5 FM. So please stay tuned for some great messages from our ever so valuable sponsors. Fill up that cup of coffee or grab that OJ, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to Hammer Time, Waking Up with the YCCA, a presentation of the Yavapai County Contractors Association. Once again, here's your host, Sandy Griffiths.
We are back on air. Thanks for taking a short break, listeners, and hanging with Mike and me and our guests and listening to our sponsor messages.
You betcha.
I love our sponsors.
They're great people.
They are such
Great
awesome
companies.
people. So all is well in our universe. Let's introduce the world to Mr. Jake Swenson and Mark Swenson, Papa Bear Mark Swenson. Hi, you guys.
Hey.
Hello.
Welcome to Hammer Time.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Fun to
having
be
us.
here.
It's going to be a blast. So Swenson Home Building, who started this? Mark, did you start this? Was this your vision?
Oh, this goes back a number of years. I started doing construction, and when I ended up in the wheelchair, we started collaborating on a few different things, and we ended up down here. And yeah.
So that was up in Wisconsin?
Yes, correct.
For the start, yeah.
For the start.
Yeah.
I graduated college, and that summer we started together, and then that fall he had his accident. So we only got 6 months,
Gotcha.
post college working together.
So you put them on the fast track.
It did
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, I would be nowhere near where I'm at now had I not been thrown in the deep end.
So now, how long were you up in Wisconsin before you came down here?
Well, I grew up there. Born in Chicago, lived there for 2 weeks, and then lived in northern Wisconsin for the next 23 years. And then 2019 November, I came down here, and then May 2020 got licensed, and so coming up on 6 years of being here, and just I think this month we'll have 5 years.
Way to
with
go,
a
Jake.
Active license.
So then you have a sister, Mackenzie, who's in the business as well.
Yep.
But she came in after you had already been down in Prescott, correct?
Correct. Yep.
So one day this woman pops into my office. I mean, like a tornado, Mark. I mean, shoosh. My name is
I can
Mackenzie
only
Swenson.
imagine.
It's like, whoa, hold on here, kiddo. Who are we and where do we want to start? So that was my connection to Mackenzie, and I think it's been darn awesome. She's a good student.
Yeah.
She wants to just be so successful.
Yeah.
And she's been a good partner with you, Jake. I mean, the two of you work so well together.
Yeah, we're very fortunate to have her because she is everything that we are not when it comes to a business. So,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, we frequently, kind of look back and we're like, man, if we were just us trying to do what we're doing right
So
now,
much
we would
trouble.
be drowning. So we would have drowned
Long time
a
ago.
long time ago.
So Mackenzie came in and did a radio show with us.
Yeah.
And I had never met her before, so I came in, sat down, and Sandy introduced me to her. And so this is right before we went on the air, and I thought, I'm going to up her because you had just started building that home for us. And I said, I met your husband. She just kind of looked at me.
I know.
It was like deer in the headlights. She said, no, because I'm not married. And I thought, how's this one working?
Get out of this one,
that's
Didn't realize it
kiddo.
was your sister.
That's funny.
Oh, that's good.
So do you report to Mark? I mean, are you involved daily with the kids, Mark, or do you look at the pro formas monthly or weekly, or what is your oversight process for Swenson Homes?
Oh, I don't have to really do much because
You're
the
right.
two of them do just fine. But we do have daily conversation, I would say.
Yeah,
about stuff.
I would say, I mean, he's really underselling himself. He's been a very successful truss designer for coming up on 5 years
Yeah.
as well now too. So we have our own in-house, truss designer,
Right.
and he also designs for as many people as he can
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
But as you know, Mike, how valuable that is when you go into any of the truss places and you kind of just get in line. And so having a day turnaround, I mean, we've had projects where it's like the morning on a Wednesday, we get the drawing in finalized and it's on site Thursday,
Wow.
when it's not often that we need to kind of call in those, favors, but there's projects where, that happens because we have that connection. So that really helps us a lot.
Well, and the other thing is that as you know, trusses will come out sometimes with broken cords or whatever,
Yeah.
or you need to make a repair to accommodate something
Yeah,
else.
yeah.
And so having an in-house designer really helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. And it's the way I can play kind of the biggest role in what we're doing. And it's fun. It keeps me involved in an industry that I deeply love.
Yep.
And, for almost 20 years, I was blessed to be able to do something for my vocation that I really love doing.
Well, you're
So-
still an integral part.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so for chocolate chip cookies, I will turn them over to you for truss engineering in 24 hours.
There you go.
And membership is only half price because Swenson Home Builders is already a member.
There you go.
Pretty powerful, huh, Dad?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Listen to that.
Yes. And then could I have first priority in phone calls, Jake? I mean, just move me to the top of the list.
Yeah, for sure.
Perfect.
We call Sandy the wheeler dealer.
You always got to have one of those around.
Yes, you
Yeah.
do. Thank you, Mark. I'm so valuable.
So I do have to back up for a second, though, and ask you, Jake, what brought you to Prescott?
Yeah,
Really,
good question.
it was the guy that Mark started out in business with up in Wisconsin, doing carpentry and contracting. And they worked together for a number of years and then just kind of each went their own way and did their own thing. And so when he heard, Mark was talking to him that we were looking to go somewhere warm, really that was it. We just wanted to go warm. And so I think we were looking Colorado and Florida, and then his buddy was like, "Hey, I just moved down to Prescott." He had been here maybe a year and a half,
Probably
something like
2-3
that.
years, something like that.
Yeah, and he's like, it's booming down here, and the weather's amazing. He didn't really tell me there's not a lot of young people, so that was a little bit of a
we're like
surprise.
66% golden years senior citizens.
Yeah, so that he left out a couple details, but from a business perspective, it's been a blessing to be down here and just being able to really count on schedules and weather to cooperate. And it's when you get those days where you get a rain day or you get a snow day, it's almost like, I can enjoy this because it's not an everyday
12 feet
grind to
deep
work
either.
through it.
Right. Well, and I was just going to mention it being the same elevation as Colorado. The big difference, because I grew up in Colorado, big difference is we'll get normally 3, 4, maybe 5 snowstorms, but it's gone within a week or a couple of days.
Yeah.
Up in Colorado, that's not the case. It'll back up against the foothills and dump, and you're just stranded for a while.
Yeah.
So
And
much
that's
better.
Too similar to Wisconsin for me.
So now, Jake, you have a family and a kind of a young baby, right?
Yes. So Teddy is 18 months.
Okay.
He'll be 19 months this month, and then we have another one, Oliver, on the way.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
due in
congratulations.
July. Yeah, thank you. So expanding by one. So
Teddy and Oliver, those are
Yep.
like kind of cool names.
yeah.
How did you come with the names? They just
I think I get to take credit for both of them.
Okay.
I mean, there was a lot of it wasn't a unilateral decision, but I think the idea stemmed from me. So
perfect.
we just neither one has a family tie. At least as far as intentional.
Immediate,
But middle names, we went with some family for that. But
cool.
just we like the names and
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank
That's
you.
good.
Teddy was just a newborn when you were building the house for us.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, that was, it seems like yesterday, but 18 months ago, whatever.
So with 2 young boys, I see heir apparent in your future, right?
You're going to have to define that one for me.
They're going to be on the job site early.
Yes, I
and
kind of
taking
figured
over
that's what you were getting at.
Swenson Home Builders,
Yes,
right?
I was really pulling for a construction crew.
Okay, you got it. Yeah.
Got the makings of one, that's for sure.
That's funny. So, Jake and Mark, we need to take a break. When we come back, we'll continue our super cool conversation with the two of you and share Swenson Home Builders to the world.
Perfect.
So we'll be right back. Don't move.
You're listening to Hammer Time, waking up with the YCCA, a presentation of the Yavapai County Contractors Association. Once again, here's your host, Sandy Griffiths.
Hey world, we are back with you. Thanks for hanging with us. We have a second play of our Hammer Time show every weekend, right, Mike?
We do.
When's the next one?
That would be tomorrow morning.
At 7 a.m.
That's right. But we'll have the same guests. We'll tell the same jokes. So.
I have a joke. Okay, so a guy and his friend, I hope I tell this right, were going hunting, bow hunting.
Okay.
And the one guy says, "Hey, do you have your bow hunting, your arrows?" And he says, "No, I have no habanero." Do you get it? He was
Not
he was he was Hispanic. I have no habanero.
Instead of bow and arrow, habanero. Okay, now I get it.
What do you think, Jake?
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
We'll go with that.
It went over my head a little bit for the.
Now that I understand the participants, it makes sense.
Okay. So what does Swenson Home Builders do? Who are you, and what's your DNA made of? And who was the brainchild behind Swenson Home Builders? I'm assuming that was you, Mark.
What? Oh, I don't know.
I think it goes back a couple generations.
Well, it kind of does, yeah. My dad, he came from a family that had some construction background, and he actually worked for a contractor for a number of years. He was a farmer. And during the off-farming season, he was a carpenter. My first official job, when I was in high school, I worked for a carpenter for a summer. And then a few years later, I worked for a contractor for a summer between college, spring and fall.
Gotcha.
And so it really is kind of something that's in the DNA.
Well, and then didn't your dad's dad, your grandpa, build the house you grew up in?
Yeah, my dad did. So
your dad.
Okay.
Yeah, my dad and the contractor that he worked for built the house back in 1973, I think it was.
Wow.
And yeah, and it was really one of the things. A little side note: one of the things that was really amazing is after both my folks had died, my sister and her husband bought the building site and the woods that are on the property, and then we remodeled the house a little bit for them. And we ended up tearing off a huge section of the roof, and it was amazing because it was a hand-framed roof.
Wow.
And all the rafters, the hip jacks, the corner jacks and everything, I don't think you could hardly put a car in between. Carl was an amazing contractor.
That is old-time carpentry.
Yeah,
really
it was pretty amazing. And so, and then when we were living in Siren, I started doing construction up
And
there.
that's Siren, Wisconsin.
Yes, Siren, Wisconsin. And it makes sense. Somebody one time asked me, it's like, well, where'd you learn to do this? And I'm like, I don't know. It just made
just
sense.
happened.
And I started out, Jake, I think he was about 8 or 9 years old when I started dragging him along to job sites. And one of my first memories is a garage, and you were sitting up on a plank putting up soffit. And
probably sitting down without.
Oh, you were. You were sitting down. It was like, stand up for crying out loud.
Yeah, I was very against traditional nail bags for a long time. I don't know what it was, but I just thought I was so nimble. And then now I would consider myself a framer, and I'm like, I need all the things.
Exactly.
But back to the question at hand. It goes back. To my
A couple
grandpa.
generations,
And,
yeah.
But as far as, things down here, that was, kind of our mutual decision to move down here. And initially he was going to follow with my stepmom, his wife, and just, the way life plays out sometimes, it didn't happen. So it was just me here until Mackenzie got here, coming up on 3 years ago. And, I got the license. And
So Swenson Home Builders wasn't born when you were down here.
It is.
Yeah,
so
it is.
Okay.
Swenson Construction is his company that's still
In
active
existence
Wisconsin.
Okay.
in Wisconsin. Yeah.
You know, for tax purposes and,
Yep.
and all that stuff. But so that was, you know, and then I had Jake Swenson Construction for, you know, a year. And then we moved down here and decided to, you know, kind of rebrand or start fresh. And so, you know, just picked a whole new name for the corporate
Perfect.
commission. And I actually took his original Swenson Construction logo and used that as sort of the inspiration for our current logo, which was, you know, sort of my tribute to the start of, you know, that.
Dad,
so
did you get copyright?
That's exactly what I was
Yes.
going to ask. Did
Yeah,
you get
come
some
on.
infringement
Yes.
compensation?
Oh, it's a family deal. We don't need any copyright stuff. So
But yeah, so that's kind of how things played out getting down here. And when we started, our goal, our game plan was spec houses. We thought we wanted to, you know, build, sell, and just, you know, it proved to be a very different ball game
Right.
down here than what we were used to up there. And so, you know, that's more money, that's more time, that's, you know, you name it. It's different down
Different
here.
ballgame. Yep.
And so, you know, what that led to is we did build a first spec house, and that was my first full house frame on my own, start to finish, which was cool. Because, well, I should back up just a little bit. When I first got down here, that family friend that, you know, had started with Mark, he was the head framer for North Star Builders, Nick Malouf.
Yep.
And and that was when they had a framing crew. And so I was able to come in, you know, and just be a carpenter for under him. And we got to frame probably a half dozen houses in 6 months together. And that was just, you know, invaluable knowledge to gain and just to see, because it's similar to Wisconsin, but it's also very different.
Yeah, I was
And
going to say
so-
it gives you a good idea of what
yeah,
what
and
local
just
is.
getting to I tried to ask questions and put myself in the mind of like, hey, I'm going to be doing this myself. So that was really good. And then right when COVID hit, they shut down their framing crew, but that was right when I got licensed, and so that sort of, you know, started the slow grind, and thankfully we had, you know, the funds to do that first spec house, and that was, you know, a very, we learned a lot on that one, you know, and sold it to some great people and whatnot. But after that, you know, it was, we bought a lot, and we actually still have the lot, but it turned into getting more custom home clients, and so, you know, we looked at it like, you know, there's less upfront investment and, you know, less capital that we have to put up. You know, still, as you know, Mike, there's a lot that goes into it. You know, it's not like you can just go into it with nothing in your bank account and whatnot, but it's just different than a spec house. And so, and we like to consider ourselves personable. So the relationship side is
important.
nice.
Yeah.
You know, some people don't like it. We seem to, you know, thrive in that setting. So, yeah, it kind of turned into that, but then again, as you know, that the start from, or when it goes from conversation to breaking ground can be a very long time, and so it's just taken, you know, time to get that going. And you know, people want to see something, and when you don't have, like, we have 20 years of building in Wisconsin, but, you know, we didn't have anything down here.
Right.
And so finding those people that would trust you and trust us was, you know, it took time. And so at this point, though, Mackenzie is our COO, Chief of Operations. She also, you know, does a lot with design and working with the clients on, you know, picking out fixtures and colors and, you know, all the finishes. And, you know, does all of our finances. I mean, we still have a payroll lady and we have a tax lady, but she really does, you know, all of our stuff as far as admin and everything like that goes. And then we have a great project manager, Kyle. I'm not sure if
You met Kyle. He's a good man.
Yeah,
he's a good guy.
So he's not really. You wouldn't necessarily pick out of a hat, that title
Right.
for him. But I think he's really stepped into
He
his
has.
role and
He's
does
a sweetie.
a great job.
Yeah.
So he brings the carpentry knowledge here in Prescott full time that Mackenzie just doesn't have, because that wasn't, she didn't really grow up doing that. It was me and Dad, not really her cup of tea at that point. So it's nice to have, like I said, Mark's here a few times a year for a few weeks, but Kyle's here, lives
All the
here,
time, yeah.
and grew up doing a lot in the trades. And so he fills those gaps that she needs filled for for her knowledge. And then like we said, Mark is the truss designer, and just sort of offers support, like he's reaching out to Crowther for an engineering letter, and Red Butte for a special epoxy inspection, and whatever it is, he's kind of there to do that. And then I get to just run the framing crew. And
Well, lucky you.
Yeah.
You've got the easiest job of all.
Okay.
We have to take a break, Jake. When we come back, we'll have further conversation. So don't move, listeners. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Hammer Time, waking up with the YCCA, a presentation of the Yavapai County Contractors Association. Once again, here's your host, Sandy Griffiths.
Listeners, we are back on air, tuned in to Hammer Time, brought to you by YCCA. And Mike, I always want to thank our listeners for their support. They reach out to us. Mm-hmm. Lots of folks need help nowadays. And stay off of social media to find a licensed contractor. Seriously. You guys, they go to Nextdoor, they go here, they find these guys that don't have licenses.
You need to get, in my opinion, you need to get a solid referral meeting.
I know.
Not just off of a media. You need to talk to somebody who's had personal experience on a referral.
And I wrote a letter to the editor. It was in the paper this last Sunday. Just because a contractor has flashy advertising and flashy radio, that doesn't mean they're the best.
Right. No, that was a good article. Very worth reading.
Did you read that?
Yep.
Thank
sure
you.
Did.
So just flashy is not the way to go.
Yeah. And again, I think if you have a personal recommendation, that's one thing. Just to read doesn't really give any, in my opinion, doesn't give any depth of credibility. You need to have that personal reference.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get those references from YCCA.
And who might they call?
They might call me, Sandy.
And what would be your number?
I thought you were going to say what might your name be. 778-0040.
Perfect.
I still have my pesky cough. I'm so sorry.
But they will need to precede that by a 978. Or
928. Good gracious. You are a bad directory assistant.
I'm still having a hard time getting used to that.
Holy
having to dial the 928 before the local number.
Oh, geez.
You've been doing it now for how many years, and you're still not used to it?
Probably 2 years. And yeah, unless it's in my phone on a redial, I get lost.
Oh, Michael, man. Okay, so back to Swenson Home Building. You're building custom homes, lots of deck work. What else?
Well, right before break, you made a comment that I have the easiest job, and I don't know if I would agree with that.
I think you do.
It's definitely the job that I'm best at. So maybe I got they got the short stick, and I won on that. But we play to our strengths for sure.
You're right.
Yeah, and I think we realized that there's just the cool mix is that Jake does a great job on the framing end, and we really try to not slap stuff up, but we've tried to cultivate a reputation of building really quality products. And Jacob's done a great job at that, and then Mackenzie kind of handles the custom side of things with Kyle. And so it's kind of a two-prong approach, and then I step in with being able to support with trust projects and other people. And so it's, it's unfolded not necessarily how we planned it, but I think it's done well.
So how do you handle this? Most builders, i.e. like Mike at Bintry, when you need your homes framed, you go out and hire the sub, the framer, correct?
Correct.
So he's a sub to you.
Correct.
How does Swenson Home Builders handle this? Jake, if you're the on-site framer, you're part of that building company. How do you charge your customers then a framing price?
Good question. I think what it does is it gives us flexibility, because that's not really a one-size-fits-all answer.
Okay.
So, a great example is our first couple houses have been a lot more budget restricted, just because, we're not the high ticket builder yet, and we don't have the references. And so, it's given us the flexibility to, work within ourselves to, not, because if I'm providing a framing, bid for a different builder, I'm providing labor, lumber, and trusses as a full package. And, I have a markup on lumber and trusses, and, I put the time, and if I miss something, it's on me. I don't go to them and say, hey, I missed this, but with us, it's like, if we have the project and the budget, we run it the same way, where I would put together my numbers like I would for any other builder. That's what we would plug into our whole spreadsheet for presenting to the customer. But for these builds, I haven't added any markup for materials and for doing takeoffs and managing that side of things, just because that's where we had to be. And sometimes you just that's what you have to do.
That's what you have to do. You're right.
But that's a really good question.
Perfect.
And it's, something that I'm still working on and learning, because I haven't been, running a framing crew and would consider myself a professional framer for that long. So there's a lot that I still have to learn.
I will say, it's just such accolades to McKinsey. She's learned how to maneuver quite well through the political playing field.
Yes.
And
big time.
she's been a good student and has asked good questions.
Yeah.
And I'm really proud of her for how she's really achieved such a great persona to be politically correct in trying to move through this huge playing field we have. So please let her know I admire and respect her for that.
Because that can certainly be challenging.
Yes.
It is.
It was.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Yeah. So you hit the nail on the head, and we couldn't say it any better. And it's just funny, when she came into the mix, she came from, I think in her words, she's like, I had 4 admins and 23 students and 3 different online softwares to be doing grading and stuff, because she comes from a teaching and an art background.
Right.
And so she was like, this is cake.
Easy. Yeah, this is cake.
So she's had to play catch up with more the technical side of things. But as far as being able to run a tight ship and just make sure things don't fall through the cracks,
she does great.
She's terrific.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
we will definitely praise her from you, Sandy.
Perfect. Okay, so we have to take another break before he puts the hook around me. Be nice, engineer. Okay, we'll be right back, listeners. Don't move.
You're listening to Hammer Time, waking up with the YCCA, a presentation of the Yavapai County Contractors Association. Once again, here's your host, Sandy Griffiths.
Everybody, good morning, and thanks for tuning in to the main show, Hammer Time, brought to you by YCCA. Our guests with us this morning, Mr. Jake Swenson and Mark Swenson. Daddy-o.
I was going to say, I wonder if they're related.
Big Swenson.
They might be. They might be.
We'll call the Big Cheese Swenson because he's from Wisconsin.
The big cheese. I don't
The
know.
big
We're
cheese.
Vikings fans, though. So
Oh.
yeah.
I
That's
grew up in southern Minnesota. So,
Oh, sorry,
you know,
that's
you had no
Minnesota. I got my states wrong, didn't I?
No. You were right.
I was-
Wisconsin were
okay.
cheeseheads, but
Okay,
that's
yeah.
usually related to the Green Bay Packers.
Oh.
You grew up.
And
yeah.
we're like right next to Minneapolis, and we're
Viking
5
country.
hours from.
I have a board member who is a die-hard Viking fan, Wyatt,
nice.
for Earth Resources. He would wear purple every day of the week. I mean, the Vikings? Seriously? He loves them.
Well, he suffered a lot of heartbreak.
Yes, he
Well,
did.
and I've lived through 4 Super Bowl losses, so it's kind of a PTSD kind of a
Okay.
deal.
Uh-oh.
So let's not talk about that. too
Okay, well, no more.
Yeah.
So, Mark, you come and visit. How often do you come down to look
You
at
know,
your investment?
That,
Not often enough.
not often
Okay,
enough, but
perfect.
it's and my wife Michelle and I have kind of figured out that a 2-week stint kind of works to come down and be down here, and so it's a fluid thing that I come down as often as I can and fully enjoy being with the kids and being around here and meeting different clients and.
Well, and having to put up with a grandbaby isn't all too bad either.
Teddy's kind of fun to watch. I'm telling you,
He's
that
a good
kid's
guy.
got a lot of energy. So he's going to give mom and dad a run for their money. I'll guarantee you
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But
he
then
does.
again, I know whose son he is. So
That's true. I know.
I know.
I got stories. I got stories.
Teddy hasn't fallen far from the apple tree. has he?
No, he has
Exactly.
I can hardly wait to see what Oliver does. Now, along with Teddy and Oliver, you have a dog. Don't you have a big dog?
Well, so we actually had 3 big dogs.
Okay.
And 2 of them are the parents of Mackenzie's crazy dog. who,
Okay.
you know, we brought to your office
Right.
once.
Yes. Oh,
Sorry
that's right. I
about
forgot
that.
about that. Talk about. I've never been in the military, but talk about PTSD with Mackenzie and this dog.
Oh,
Holy
Sandy,
moly.
you and I were on the same page. I was like, Mackenzie, I don't think we can bring your dog in here. And she's just like, oh, of course we
yeah,
can.
we
Just
can."
come on. And
Oh, it was a
So,
day
yeah.
to be remembered.
yes. Yeah. But yes,
funny.
so 2 of them were the parents. Mackenzie has the offspring. And it's funny, my wife and I, we left on our honeymoon to Europe for a month. And Mackenzie was dog sitting, and Mama dog was pregnant. And like 3 days after we left, she gave birth to this lone puppy. And yeah, so Mackenzie, I think, bit off a little more, or maybe she didn't even bite it off. She just got more than she planned on. And but now, you know, she's the owner, the parent of that offspring. And
That's funny.
we did rehome the dad,
Okay.
the Great Pyrenees. Charles, he needed more space and needed a job, and his job had become eating drywall at our house. So he got a really good home. I'm sure you know Natural Edge.
Oh, they took him?
Yeah, so
oh my
he lives
gosh.
at Tiff and Ron's, and then they just got a new girl Pyrenees puppy. So
cool.
he's in very good hands.
Tiff and Ron are so awesome.
Yeah.
They're such good guys.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
beautiful people.
Yeah, so Charles is now out there and
Eating
and we just
drywall.
yeah. So we just have 2 dogs.
Okay.
They're good size. Saint's a little overweight, maybe 85-pound chocolate lab, and Dorothy's a 55-pound Aussie Doodle.
How funny.
Yeah, I didn't meet Dorothy, but I met the other 2.
Yep. They were my co-pilots for quite a while.
Yeah.
But
Well, the baby was young, and that
yeah, that's
an
right.
issue.
That
Right.
was the big thing then. Yeah.
So, what type of jobs are you seeking? Do you want custom homes? Do you want remodels? Do you want decks? What do you think, Mark? What is up your alley?
Well, I think that's probably Jake's.
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
maybe
Forte,
a little. Yeah,
okay.
so
Question.
I would say, on a grand scheme, custom homes
Perfect.
for sure. And that's as you know, like the more traction you gain, it's like exponential growth when you get going, and so that's really starting to to have more traction for us, which is great. But we love, deck projects a lot of times become, weekend side work for me and the guys. And, it's stuff that we can do pretty efficiently and do a really good job and work that we stand behind. And, as Mike knows, sometimes we miss something and we got to come back. And he had to twist my arm a little bit, but, we got it done. And it wasn't like something was falling apart.
No arm twisting at all.
But yeah, so we love deck projects, smaller stuff like that. And we actually, we're in the works right now on a big remodel downtown, which is really cool. A historic one, trying to get the plaque back and all that. But we've started to sort of, maybe not actively market and pursue the remodels, but being more open to taking them on and feeling like
because they're happening a lot. That's still a big portion of what's going on.
It is.
And the new home biz is still pretty stable and strong in our area. I haven't seen any declines of downward momentum. Mm-hmm. So that's good. Yeah. So Jake, do you work every day? I mean, how do you get in your tree and relax?
Sometimes it feels like I do work every day, especially, prepping for another little one. I know once there's two, and especially with the infant, I'm going to be, drawn to responsibilities around the house a lot more. And just won't have that extra time for those decks on the weekend and stuff. So lately, I've been really pushing a lot, doing stuff at home when it's not, side work to have money for stuff at home, But if I am relaxing, I'm probably, sometimes I'll go play golf with James Harden, James and James.
Yes.
Perks of someone that lives on Capitol Canyon. So I really like to golf. I love the men's league hockey here. Ice hockey, and then one of my buddies built an indoor ice rink out Williamson Valley.
Oh, really?
So we get a little more ice time than the 2-month window that the Finlay Center has. But besides that, I like to hike. I really like fishing, which is a little harder here than it was in Wisconsin. But looking forward to having, Teddy be to an age where it's not just like, hey, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. You can kind of actually teach him to fish and stuff. So yeah.
Do you call Mark, like when he's not here, do you call him weekly and say, oh, what do you think of this? Or I've got this challenge. Can you walk me through it?
Oh, I would say it's daily. We're on the phone.
Okay.
As far as like technical questions and business questions, I feel like that's usually almost daily, if not multiple times. Just, there's a lot of times where I'm calling to either verify or ask like, hey, can you call, so-and-so at Crowther and say, this is what we're going to do, get a letter. So we have a lot of business things, but we talk quite a bit personally too.
I love it.
Yeah.
Listeners, when we come back, we will get some information on how you can contact Swenson Home Builders. So don't move. Mark, Jake, Mike, me, and the engineer will be right back.
You're listening to Hammer Time, waking up with the YCCA, a presentation of the Yavapai County Contractors Association. Once again, here's your host, Sandy Griffiths.
Okay, we only have 50 seconds left. Jake, share your phone number and website.
All right, you can reach me personally at 715-566-3001, and I can direct you to any appropriate party if you're not trying to reach me. And then our website is swensonhb.com, like Swenson Home Builders. So it's SWENSONHB.com, Swenson Home Builders.
You guys, it was a real pleasure and honor to have you with Mike and me this morning. Mark, I'm so privileged to finally have met you, my friend.
Likewise.
Amazing,
It's
amazing.
been fun.
And I will be giving you chocolate cookies for Trust Engineering, believe me.
All right.
Okay,
I love
perfect.
chocolate chip.
Okay, listeners, have a great weekend. Mark and Jake, thank you for being with Mike and me. Until next weekend, bye.
Bye-bye.
Hammer time.
All right.
Thank you for tuning in to Hammer Time. Waking Up with the YCCA, a presentation of the Yavapai County Contractors Association. Heard each and every Saturday morning at 7, with an encore presentation Sunday mornings at 7 on AM 1130 by 99.9 FM in Prescott, 95.5 FM, Prescott Valley and Cottonwood, and online at kqna.com. A library of past Hammer Time shows can be listened to on the Yavapai County Contractors website at ycca.org.
Break it down.